All right, back here at home, 9 state attorneys general blasting the Obama administration for what they say is repeatedly violating the U.S. Constitution with many of their policies. So here's Virginia's attorney general, who is one of those, Ken Cuccinelli, on what this is all about.
We're here to talk about this president and his administration's disregard for the law. This president and his administration, in my view, represent the greatest set of lawbreakers that have run the federal government in our lifetimes. The fact is, President Obama and his appointees have ignored federal laws, they've ignored binding rulings of federal courts, and they've ignored the limits on their power mandated by the Constitution.
Very strong words from Ken Cuccinelli. I'm joined now by Wyoming Senator John Barrasso. He's the chairman of the Senate Republican Policy Committee. Senator, welcome. Good to have you here.
Great to be with you, Martha.
You know, this caught my eye. It came across the wires last night. But you look at it, and what exactly are they going to try to do? You know, what do they think? How do they think these laws have been broken? And what's going to be their MO?
Well, it really does appear to me that the president in this administration has disregard for the law, ignores the law, and often the Constitution. So we're going to see hearings in the Supreme Court later this month about the health care law. It's been 2 years. The 2-year anniversary of the president's signing is coming up. I believe it's unconstitutional. I don't think that the government has a right to go into your home and mandate that you buy a government-approved product, but it goes beyond the health care law. The reason that people are feeling the pain at the pump and these high gasoline prices, a lot of that has to do with rules and regulations that go way beyond the original intent of any laws. But the EPA is forcing things that are driving up the cost of energy for American families.
All the different blends of gasoline, for example, is one of the issues that has been brought up in that regard. So you've got a couple laid out there, and you know Ken Cuccinelli and Pam Bondi and others have a big list of things that they think. What can they really do to change any of that in this way?
Well, part of this, they'll take things to the Supreme Court. Right. The president's so-called recess appointment, the czars that aren't approved by Congress. You see it there. You see it with the president's efforts to try to regulate the internet. You know, there are consequences of the actions of this administration that impact people at home. I was in Wyoming over the weekend, town hall meeting, the health care law. You ask people, do you believe under this law that the cost of your own care is going to go up? Every hand goes up.
Everybody raise their hand.
You say, do you think that the quality and availability of your care is going to go down? Every hand goes up. That's why this law is more unpopular today than it was when it was passed. Remember, Nancy Pelosi said first you have to pass it before you get to find out what's in it. Well, the more and more people find out what's in it, the more unpopular it becomes. So I'm looking forward to a Supreme Court ruling later this year that says you cannot go into people's homes and tell them they have to buy a government-approved product.
How significant, you know, in terms of looking ahead to that ruling and the timing in which it will come over the course of the summer into the fall, right smack in the middle of the presidential election? I mean, if it doesn't go your way, I know you'd like to see it deemed unconstitutional. If it goes the president's way, it could be a big feather in his cap. It could, you know, add to the momentum that he already has right now in the polls in this election.
Well, you sure do. When I go to the Senate floor every week with a doctor's second opinion about the health care law and the problems with this law, the Democrats never come to the floor to defend it. The president doesn't defend it. They know how very unpopular it is. And I believe this, if the Supreme Court rules in the president's favor, it's going to even become more unpopular, and people are going to be more bothered by it. And I think it actually is going to hurt the president if they rule that way. Yeah. If they rule the other way, I think it'll be good for America, because this health care law is bad for patients. It's bad for the providers, the nurses and doctors who take care of those patients, and it's terrible for the taxpayers. I have concerns it's going to bankrupt the country.
You've been very outspoken on it, and these attorney generals are doing the same right now, so we'll see where it goes. It's always good to have you in studio with us in New York. Thanks for stopping by,
Thanks
Senator
so much
John
for having
Barrasso.
me. Great to be with you. Thanks, Mark.